And next we have joining us number 2 ranked UFC featherweight, Brian Ortega. Hi, Brian.
Hey, what's going on?
um, First off, we are going to kick you off with Damon Martin with MMA Fighting.
Oh,
I know it's been kind of a crazy, basically 2 year stretch for you from the Holloway fight till now, and I'm sure you've talked about this ad nauseum. But how does it finally be back? Has it been frustrating being out this long? Have you just kind of had to roll with the punches, as it may be? How does it feel to finally be back?
it feels great, man. In the beginning, after the fight, right, you're like, I need a little break from MMA right now. And then when I got the break, I was like, all right, I'm ready to go back in. I mean, everyone's been watching the whole stories, basically know what's going on already or what happened. But yeah, man, I'm excited to be back. I'm happy to be back. It was a good thing for me in my career. I can just relax for a little bit. I was working nonstop for a long time. Um, so I was like, my mind, my body, everything needed to chill. My family, needed to see me a bit more and like basically reconnect with me because I was just had the blinders full on. But now they understand again, and I'm back on the fucking horse.
This might sound like a weird question, but very rarely do we, to where you were at in your career and stay undefeated. It's just a rare thing in the sport. You had to deal with your first loss. How have you dealt with that first loss and coming back from that? Was it were you able to just put it behind you right away? Did it take a little while to kind of wrap your head around the fact that you had a loss? Like, how did you come back from that?
Day by day, dude. Literally. I mean, you see, you lose whatever, and then you kind of understand you lost the day of the fight, and after it kind of sinks in a little more, then a little more, and then finally you're like, you know what? Start looking at all the good things about everything. Then you start understanding the nature of the sport, how it goes, and then you just kind of fucking let it go. And that's kind of what it was. I just went in there and accepted it, let it go, and a positive way in order for it to allow less pressure to come into my life than more.
Throughout your career, Brian, you've always been a pretty late. I mean, as a compliment, but this fight with Zombie has seemingly gotten very personal. Obviously, we know the incident that happened back in March, and just a lot of the trash talk that's been said. Would you say this has been a more personal fight than you've been used to, or is it personal for you?
No, it's not personal, man. Uh, Not with him. No, I mean, yeah, it's not even personal. Saw him the other day. Nothing happened. I didn't say anything. He didn't say anything. Uh, Not if it was personal, we would have jumped at each other. It was just something that happened, an incident that was done on my part, and yeah, just a way of shutting up the trash talk.
And, coming back into such a high-profile fight, still being ranked number 2 in the division. Is the end goal always going to be the title? Do you even think about that now? We have a new champion in the division. This is obviously a pretty high fight, for rankings. Do you feel that way? Saying that, hey, I could jump right back into the top
Like
fight
for
right
me,
now. Do you even think about that?
yeah, this fight for me was not even more so trying to just uh get a top the bat or something, right? It was more like, all right, you took your break, you did everything, but also it's like I'm not trying to come back and take an easy fight in. I've never once in my life took an easy fight. If you watch my entire career right off the bat, my second fight in the UFC was against Tavares, who had more fights in the UFC than I had in my career. So I've never looked to take an easy fight, nor am I ever gonna start to look to take one. For me, it was like, all right, who's the baddest motherfucker right now? Who's on fire and who we can fight? All right. Then we looked at Korean zombies on a win streak, and then all of a sudden, the internet somehow tangled us together, and then the world wanted to see it fight, and then everything happened that happened, and now it's like, yo, these guys have to fight, and now I want to fight them. So that's basically what happened, and it's a good test to come back. Solid guy. As for the title, I'm just working my ass off. I'm training hard, and obviously that's all here, right? To be the number one guy, but also myself also with all the good people, you know. So it's like it's an interesting mix that I have in my head going on. But yeah, man. You're welcome.
And next, we have Carlos Contreras with Milenio Diarra.
Hola Brian, ¿me puedes escuchar ahí?
I don't speak Spanish.
You suddenly forgot about Spanish? ¿Cómo estás?
I was trying to skip one interview. ¿Cómo andamos?
Bien, bien, todo bien. Quería preguntarte sobre el estilo de zombie, porque me imagino que has visto las peleas con Leonard García, con Jair, que son unas guerras de las mejores que ha tenido la división. Incluso él terminó en el hospital con los dos. ¿Te imaginas una guerra así también con él por el estilo que tiene, por obviamente que le guste ir siempre adelante?
Sí, pues claro que sí, esta pelea en donde es una pelea fácil o una pelea donde ninguno de nosotros nos vamos a dañar. Esta va a ser. Y pues obviamente, yo creo, ojalá que la Abu Dhabi tenga buenos hospitales porque yo creo que los dos vamos a estar ahí para el fin de la noche.
Cuéntame un poco, la gente se pregunta qué ha pasado en estos 2 años, cambios en tu campamento, una pelea en San Antonio que probablemente estuvo cerca, la de México, Corea. ¿Cómo fueron estos 2 años para ti con tantos cambios y tantas peleas que no se pudieron hacer?
Pues obviamente me frustré porque no podía encontrar mi manera en cómo entrar otra vez de nuevo. Estaba pensando que pues toma tu tiempo, relájate, deja que todas se, pues, se compongan y todo. Y luego, al fin, todo el proceso de encontrando un equipo, encontrando a la gente correcta para el trabajo y que buscan honestamente lo mejor que es para mí, mi carrera. Fue otra cosa. Pero sí, con tiempo y todo se solucionó. Tenemos un equipo gran con managers, entrenadores, con todo. Tenemos todo ya. Estoy feliz, contento con mi equipo y pues ponemos el trabajo. Sabemos que la pelea el año pasado no pasó por otras cosas que pasaron durante un entrenamiento y luego pues nos superamos de eso, pasó el coronavirus y luego ya aquí estamos. No me frustré tanto, al contrario, tomé eso como una oportunidad para ponerme más cómodo con el equipo, a conocernos mejor, a entrenar más duro y cosas que teníamos que mejorar, pues tuvimos más tiempo para hacer eso y eso es lo que hicimos.
Finalmente estuviste en México como invitado, pero sé que tú querías estar en esa pelea. ¿Cómo te sentiste esa noche pues ya de sentir todo el ambiente en la arena y no poder pelear frente a los mexicanos, pues, en la tierra de tus padres?
Pues se sintió, pues cada vez que vas a cualquier evento en México, obviamente te la pasas bien a gusto, te diviertes mucho. Tenía unos amigos ahí en la Ciudad de México con que estuve toda la semana. Pero sí, mirando las peleas y diciendo, man, si yo estuviera aquí, estoy bien padre, bien chingón. Y pues sí, le estaba pensando si iba a pelear al coreano. Me ha gustado mucho, especialmente enfrente de toda la raza, toda la gente, pero no pasó. Pero todavía me divertí, todavía comí un chingo de tacos. Ah, me la pasé bien a gusto, de todos modos.
Suerte, Brian, ojalá que veamos una buena pelea el sábado.
Gracias.
And next, we will go to Gabriel Gonzalez with Cage Side Press.
Hey Brian, how are you?
Doing good, man. How about you?
Doing good, thank you. I want to ask you because leading up to your last fight, people would argue you're the most popular fighter who wasn't a UFC champion, and you're getting a lot of attention. I want to ask, do you feel like you still get that love from the fans? Because no matter what, you bring up Brian Ortega, a lot of people still get excited about talking about you.
Yeah, man, I feel like a lot of people, they still, who see me, they still love me. Some of them are a little bit upset recently due to my, which I cannot blame them for. Um, but I feel if I had to choose and put both sides on a scale, I still say I'm more loved than I am hated.
I want to ask, I know everybody must bother you every day about your Modelo commercial and if you've made choices lately. They haven't played it in a while. Do you wish they would because you got a fight and you could get more attention, or do you like that you're getting some space from it?
Well, I don't know if you know the way the deals work with commercials, but they do a 1 year deal with them, and they play it out for 1 year and then it's over. So my year was up, and that was it. Now the next commercial, I think it's with Amanda. Yeah, it's with Amanda, and now it's her year for the commercial to be ran. But yeah, man, I mean, I don't mind it being played, but it's not my turn now.
Understood. Out of curiosity, I feel like this had come up back in April before the pandemic and everything. Were there serious talks to have you fight Zabit?
Were there?
To fight Zabit in April? Was that ever a discussion?
No, there wasn't. I just looked at my
Gotcha.
manager and said, "Were there?" And he said, "No."
And final question, we know you talked about moving things around in terms of your camp and your circle. Can you talk about which team you brought with you to Fight Island?
I brought Tiki Gossin with me as a manager, Jason Park as a Muay Thai coach, Jesus Avila as a boxing coach, Dr. Andy as a mad scientist behind the entire group. Henry Gracie had to stay behind because his swab tested positive for the Rona. And I brought my friend Dean Wellen just to keep me company, have fun, and bullshit around. And
Hey,
Paul Herrera for wrestling.
hey, thank you, Brian. Good luck.
Thank you.
We'll go to Sumagata from Sports Kita.
Thank you. Good looking out now. I was like looking at everyone in the room. I was like, wait a minute.
So Miki,
Can you hear me? Hey Brian, how you doing?
Doing good, man. Just throwing the shit out of my eyes.
Okay, so it's been 2 years, almost 2 years now since we last saw you in action, and since then you have had a change in training camp as well. So how has been the preparation for you in this fight, especially given the situation with the pandemic?
It was fun getting my team together and getting a whole group of people to work with each other and connect and get on the same page. And then finally, the pandemic obviously was another thing, so we had to adjust according to the way we could during everything. We had to get people tested. We had to shut the gyms down. We had to do private sessions only, one-on-ones, no partners. Then we had to get more people tested. Then we had to keep more people honest with how they live their lives. So we don't get it while we're training. And it was very tough, man. It was, you had to limit your partners, you had to test everyone. And even when you test everyone, you still couldn't count on them because people are seeing people and people are seeing other people and everyone wants human contact. So, you know, it's a little risky thing, but we did it, and I'm happy we're here now. Corona free and ready to fight.
So this will be your big return to the UFC, but does it somewhat bother you there won't be any fans in attendance for this fight? For your return fight?
Nah, man, I'm all right with it. I'm used to fighting in the silence, so it's easy for me to do it.
So a few days back, Korean Zombie, he issued an apology saying for all the trash talk. he did towards you. Now, in this lead up to this fight, I know there has been a lot of issues between you two guys, but does his apology somewhat change your perspective towards this rivalry, or is it just still the same for you?
It was never a rivalry, man. Uh, I yeah, it was never a rivalry. I just kind of just he talked his shit and I talked my shit, but it was more like if that's how you're gonna be, that's how I'm gonna be. And then when I made it clear, if you really want a rivalry with me, this is how it's gonna get down. Then we heard all the apologies, so it was kind of just shut down, and that was it.
So, the last time you fought Max Holloway, he still was the champion, featherweight champion. Now there's a new champion, Alex Volkanovski. I know your focus is on Korean Zombie for this weekend, but do you have any thoughts on him as champion?
I have thoughts on everybody in the division, you know. Thoughts on him, obviously, of course. He has the belt, which means he has the target on his back, which means we're training for everyone now. We're training for guys that are like Zabit, guys that are like Korean, guys that are like Holloway, guys that are like Volkanovski. Um, from now on, we have a whole team designed to fight and train for the top people in the division.
Okay, last question for me. So, how do you see yourself winning this fight this weekend?
But out, whatever I can take.
Okay, good luck to you, sir, and thank you.
Thank you.
Last questions for you will go to Augusto Nezgue from Somos MMA.
Brian, ¿cómo estás? Voy a volver a hacerte hablar en español.
Hey, ¿cómo andamos?
Todo bien. Brian, te quiero preguntar justamente, recién comentabas que Renner Gracie dio positivo por coronavirus. ¿Cómo afecta eso el viaje? ¿Están manejándose a distancia? ¿Se complica un poco?
No, no, no. Si había una persona en que no podía poder venir a este evento, fue, fue bueno que no fue él, porque de todos los artes que tengo, la herramienta que tengo dentro de mi edad para esa pelea, el jiu-jitsu es la que necesito lo menos. El jiu-jitsu lo sé muy bien, lo entreno cada día. No es algo en que necesito a alguien que me siga recordando durante una pelea. Bueno, es triste porque es un amigo y es un compa y todo, pero al fin del día tenemos que trabajar, tenemos que hacer lo que tenemos que hacer. Y si va a haber un tipo de consejos que no voy a escuchar, que yo ya los conozco, va a ser el piso, lo que es todo el jiu-jitsu y la pelea de lucha. Y pues sí, me siento obviamente triste por él, pero está bien.
Perfecto. Y también, Brian, recién hace un ratito hablabas de haber perdido el invicto. Quisiera saber si ahora te sentís más tranquilo, sentís que te has quitado un peso de encima, que quizás no hay tanta presión a la hora de pelear.
No, pues sí, obviamente se quitó esa presión. Am, cuando, sí, cuando ya está tu carrera sin derrotas, amateur y profesional, te sientes invencible, te sientes como que nada te puede tocar, pero ya sabes, en este deporte pasa un día donde todos tienen que agarrar su primera derrota. Y es lo que pasó y ya sentí todos esos sentimientos, ese proceso, todo ese viaje de regresando y arreglándote y presión. Y pues me siento bien a regresar y estar más libre ahora sin esos pensamientos que me sigan picando la mente mientras estoy peleando.
Bien. Y te quiero consultar con respecto a la pelea, ¿de qué cosas crees que tenés que cuidarte del Korean Zombie y cuáles son las claves en tu juego, digamos, para llevarte la victoria?
Pues tiene una presión llegando adelante, pero una presión calmadita. Es peligroso en el primer asalto y pega, tiene un buen golpe, donde te taranta, pero no te noquea. Eso significa que tienes que tener cuidado y sobrevivir, ¿verdad? Si te pones en una de esas situaciones de jiu-jitsu y todo más, yo creo que yo lo tengo.
Y te consulto, teniendo en cuenta a futuro si conseguís la victoria, se está hablando de una tercera pelea entre Volkanovski y Holloway. ¿Qué pensás al respecto? Y si crees que de obtener la victoria tendrías que ser el siguiente en pelear por el título.
Mi trabajo ahorita es pelear de lo que está pasando. Va a ser de mi manager. am, y confío en él y todo lo que él puede hacer. Y pues por eso no me estoy preocupando. Y si tengo que esperar por esa pelea, pues esperamos. Me voy de vacaciones, voy a México, como un chingo de tacos. Y luego regreso y entreno.
Perfecto. ¿Qué enseñanzas te dejó la pelea con Max Holloway? ¿En qué te ha ayudado a mejorar?
Pues en todo. Él obviamente enseñó muchos huecos en mi juego. Y pues ahora lo entrené, mejoré, preparé. Y ahora estamos aquí listos para enseñar al mundo que soy un peleador diferente de que vieron la última vez.
Perfecto. Y para cerrar, Brian, te quiero consultar cómo estás sobrellevando allá la diferencia horaria, el clima, la comida. No sé si hay tacos allá en Abu Dhabi.
Ningún pinche puto taco hay aquí, man.
Bueno, después de la pelea seguramente vas a preguntar. Brian, muchas gracias
Sí,
y lo mejor para el fin de semana.
gracias.
And thank you, Brian. That is all we have for you today. Good luck this weekend.
All right, thank you.
Uh, thank you for joining us, Zombie. Next up, we have number 4 UFC featherweight, the Korean Zombie, Chan Sang Jung. We will have his translator, Bella Lee, on the line with us. First off, we will start with Gabriel Gonzalez with Cageside Press.
Hello, Chan. I think a lot of people are wondering what has it been like to have to wait so long for this fight after it was rescheduled last year, and obviously everything that happened in March.
I
어,
I don't have translator.
어,
아,
잠깐
있어요? 아, 오케이.
예,
네네네. 아, 오케이.
네, 질문 드릴게요. 이
예, 예.
경기를 기다리는 마음이 어떠셨는지, 이 경기가 한 번 스케줄이 됐다가 캔슬이 된 적이 있고, 또 3월 달에 있었던 사건도 있었기 때문에 이 경기를 기다리는 마음이 어떠신지라고 질문했습니다.
일단 뭐 그런 올테가 선수한테 개인적인 감정 이런 것들은 사실 생각하고 있지 않고 그냥 세계 랭킹 2위의 선수를 이렇게 만날 수 있다는 거에 굉장히 기대되고 뭐 또 준비를 또 워낙에 많이 했
네. First of all, I don't have any nothing personal towards Brian Ortega, and I'm just excited to meet a great player who is ranked second, and I'm excited about this fight, and I've been prepared for it for a long time.
How do you stay positive? Because you're one of the most popular and one of the best featherweights in the world, but with injuries and other stuff that happens with those long layoffs, how do you stay positive when you've had some of these things keep you from being active?
지금 부상도 있으셨고 긴 공백도 있으셨는데 어떻게 긍정적인 자세를 유지할 수 있는지에 대해서 물어보셨습니다.
뭐 지키고 싶은 사람들이 있으면 가능한 것 같아요. 뭐 내가 가족이 생겼고 애기들도 셋이나 음, 그러다 보니까 내가 가장 잘 하는 걸 찾다 보니까 이 일이고 또 아이들한테 부끄러움이 오게 된 것 같아요.
It is easy when you have people to cherish. I have my family now. I have 3 kids, and this is what I'm good at. And I would love to be a proud father for them.
Have they officially told you that if you win, you'll fight for the title next?
이번 시합을 이기시면 다음번에 타이틀을 약속받으셨는지 타이틀샷 게임을.
일단 데이나 화이트라고 사장이 있거든요. 데이나 화이트도 인터뷰로 뭐 이렇게 이 경기 승자가 타이틀샷을 받을 거라고 얘기를 하기도 했고, 그리고 사실 굳이 그런 인터뷰를 하지 않아도 이 경기 승자가 무조건 할 수밖에 없어요. 다른 사람이 도전할 수 있는 사람이 없습니다. 이 경기 승자가 타이틀전을 할 거는 정확한 것 같아요.
Yeah. I think it's obvious because Dana White already mentioned officially in his interview, and I think it's without saying.
My final question, what makes Brian Ortega dangerous?
브라이언 오테가가 어떤 점에서 위험하다고 생각하시는지.
일단 브라이언은 엄청 좋은 맷집이란 말 알죠? 좋은 맷집을 가지고 있고, 그리고 파워가 좋고요. 그리고 서브미션 기술이 굉장히 뛰어난 선수입니다.
Brian has a great physics and he's got power. He's got great submission skills.
Thank you, Zombie.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ezekiel Bergonzi from Somos MMA.
Hey Cheng, how are you?
How are you? Good.
Fine, thank you. So this is your first fight on pandemic. Can you tell us how it was the adaptation to these conditions that coronavirus put on us?
지금 이 코로나 팬데믹 이후에 첫 번째 시합이신데 어떻게 적응하고 계신지 이 새로운 환경에.
사실 더 좋은 것 같아요. 이렇게 팬분들도 많이 안 마주쳐도 되고, 이렇게 특별히 막 이렇게 다 같이 모이는 스케줄 이런 것들이 없어서, 사실 스케줄 일을 하는 거에는 조금 더 편한 것 같아요.
I think it actually works better because I don't get to socialize more and I don't get to meet more friends. I can focus on my training, so it works better for me.
Brian Ortega is a fighter that had problems with strikers, for example, like Max Holloway before. Do you think that you got an advantage with your striking over him? Do you think that is an important factor that will be a key for your victory?
스트라이킹 기술에 있어서 정찬성 씨에게 브라이언 올테가에 비교했을 때 정찬성 씨가 스트라이킹 스킬에 대해 우위에 있다고 생각하신지. Just let me ask the question back. Can you rephrase the question, please? Sorry, I missed the part.
Don't worry. Do you think that your striking will be an advantage to fight Brian Ortega since he has problems with strikers like Max Holloway before?
브라이언 오테가가 스트라이킹에 있어서 막스 할로웨이를 예.
오케이, 알겠어요.
죄송해요.
아니, 괜찮아요.
네.
특별히 뭐 그렇다고 하지 않고 이 경기는 킥복싱 경기, 스트라이킹만 쓰는 경기가 아니라 MMA 뭐 주짓수도 할 수 있고 레슬링도 할 수 있는 그런 경기이기 때문에 뭐 그런 부분은 신경 쓰고 있지 않고 MMA 경기로서 이기고 싶어요.
This fight, I'm not only using striking, so I just want to use all my skills that I'm using in MMA. And I'm not really
And
focused on striking.
thank you. And my last question is, how it is Fire Island? What do you like? What you don't like? How is your first experience on Shaz Island, Abu Dhabi for you?
아부다비 처음 오셨는데 이 파이트 아일랜드에 대한 인상이 어떠신지, 어떤 점이 좋고 어떤 점이 네, 어떤 인상을 받으셨는지.
일단은 호텔에만 있었고 오늘 처음으로 저기 해변가를 가봤는데 일단 사람들이 다 친절하고 뭐 일단 호텔이 또 굉장히 좋고 뭐 다 괜찮은 것 같아요.
I only stayed in the hotels so far, and I only went to the beach for the first time today. All the people are friendly here, and I like the service and I like the hotel.
Thank you very much and good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Okay, and next we are going to go to Wang Beilin with PPT TV.
안녕하세요, 오빠. You hear me?
예, 안녕하세요. 예, 들려요. 오케이.
This is from PV Sports China. And most people, including many fans in China, believe that you are very likely to become Asia's first male UFC champion. Are you confident about it? And how long do you think it's gonna take you to become the UFC champion?
많은 중국 분들이 아시안 챔피언을 기대하고 계시는데 어느 정도 얼마나 더 걸릴지 아시안 챔피언이 되는 데까지.
저도 그분들보다도 오히려 제가 제일 빨리 되고 싶은 사람이고요. 뭐 아직 미안하지만 챔피언에 대해서는 생각하고 있지 않아요. 지금은 오르테가 브라이언만 생각하고 있습니다.
I really want to become a champion, maybe more than anyone else. But right now I'm focused on Brian Ortega. I'm not thinking too much further.
Thank you. And second question is, both of you and Ortega's fights usually don't go the distance, and each of your last 3 victories has been first round knockouts, and all of Ortega's last 6 wins coming via stoppage. So what's your prediction about this fight, and do you think it's gonna go the distance?
근데 뭐 오르테가 선수가 아직까지 한 번도 넉아웃을 당한 적이 없는 선수라서 할로웨이한테 300대나 맞고 그랬으니까 저는 그것을 뭐 깨고 싶고 그러진 않아요. 저는 제 계획은 판정으로 이기는 겁니다.
Ortega's never been knocked out before. He's been hit 300 times versus Holloway, so he doesn't want to be the first one to do it. He's not really focused on the knockout, but more importantly, the win.
Okay, next we will go to Manabu Takashima with MMA Planet.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. You made a fight camp with Eric some previous fight, and then how did you prepare for this fight in your country?
With Eric or with Eddie?
Eric Abarasing?
저번 시합에서 한국에 가가지고 캡틴이 없어서 어떻게 준비해줘?
캡틴이 뭐 내가 이제 캡틴한테 비디오를 보내면 캡틴이 뭐 어떻게 할지 다 보내주기도 하고 그리고 비디오로 줌으로도 알려주기도 하고 그리고 오르테가는 작년에 캡틴이 거의 3개월 내내 준비했던 기술들이 많아서 뭐 사실 크게 영향은 많이 없었던 것 같아요.
He was training with Captain Eric a year ago in December for a good month. And so for this camp, he wasn't able to attend, but we were constantly Skyping him. We were sending him videos of training camp, any questions that we had, and going over that. So he felt like he was there. He was really well equipped. He didn't skip a beat in Korea this camp.
Okay, so you mean that you don't have any problem with him at this time?
사이는 괜찮냐고 문제 없냐고.
이렇게 전혀 문제 없. 오늘도 뭐 캡틴한테 메시지 오기도 했고 뭐 그리고 그 레안드로가 시합이 있으니까 어쩔 수 없이 못 온 거. 저도 이해한다고.
No, not at all. We're on really good terms. He actually spoke with him earlier today. One of his training partners, Leandro Higo, he's fighting in Bellator with Pitbull as well. So he had to go there. So that's the only reason why he's here, but we're on really great terms.
Okay, and also everybody knows that the Korean MMA fighters, I mean that the young Korean MMA fighters improve a lot. So can you let me know that who's your training partner in this fight camp?
한국 선수들이 요즘에 더 잘하고 있는 캠프에서 누구냐고 트레이닝 파트너.
일단 내 팀의 선수들도 있었고 뭐 다른 팀의 선수들도 잘하는 사람들을 뭐 오기도 했었고 일단은 바비 모펫이랑 조니 케이스를 내가 한국으로 불려서 스파링을 했기 때문에 스파링 파트너에 대한 문제는 없었고 한국도 빠른 속도로 발전하고 있습니다.
He used a compilation of his fighters at his gym and a couple other guys at a couple other gyms in Korea. And then he also brought Bobby Moffitt and Johnny Case from the US.
Okay, so tell me the reason why did you bring the Johnny Case for this fight?
왜 Johnny Case 시합?
또 굉장히 좋고 바비 옵셋 주짓수 실력도 생각에는 브라이언보다 낫다고 생각을 하고 있기 때문에 뭐 조니는 스트라이킹 쪽으로는 뭐 그라운드 레슬링 쪽으로 좀 많이 저를 도와줬고 그리고 조니 케이스가 브라이언보다 사이즈가 훨씬 크기 때문에 뭐 나한테 도 도움이 많이 되는 것 같아요.
So he brought Johnny Case to this camp because he thinks he's a really good striker. He might be a better striker than Brian Ortega. He brought Bobby Moffitt for the ground part of the game. And Johnny Case's size and height, I think, is going to make a real difference for him because Ortega's not as big, so he won't size into the camp as his sparring partners.
Okay, thank you so much. 감사합니다.
Thank you. 감사합니다.
Next, we will be going to Damon Martin with MMA Fighting.
MMA Fighting.
So, mentioned earlier, there's no personal feelings towards Brian Ortega, but I know after the incident happened in March with Jay Park and he apologized, was it tough to put those personal feelings behind you regarding Brian Ortega?
때린 것 때문에 또 물어보는 건데 그거 운동했을 때
네, 그런 감정을 가지고 케이지에 올라가는 거는 사실 나한테 아무 도움이 되지 않으니까 이번에는 그냥 그런 건 잊고 내 실력만 생각하고 있고 브라이언이라는 사람이 아니라 브라이언이라는 파이터를 상대하려고 하고 있습니다.
So having any animosity or anything towards Brian is not going to help him in the case. So he's putting that aside. He's treating him as Brian Ortega, the fighter, as opposed to Brian Ortega, the individual.
This fight been frustrating at all? It feels like we've heard about this matchup for quite some time, but injuries and then obviously the pandemic has delayed everything. Has it been frustrating, waiting for this fight to happen?
2년 동안 싸워야 됐는데 답답해.
네, 뭐 다쳐서 그렇게 수술하고 이런 거에 대해서는 좀 굉장히 좀 답답하고 이런 게 있었는데, 근데 이런 코로나나 코비드 이런 일을 뭐 제가 무시할 수 없는, 어쩔 수 없는 일이니까 이거는 어쩔 수 없다고 생각했고, 대신에 할 수 있는 여건이 됐고, 그거에 대해서 감사하고 있습니다.
So he's not too frustrated that the fight took too long to create, but him being injured with the eye surgery and stuff like that was a bit frustrating. As far as the COVID and the world epidemic, there's nothing we can possibly do about that. So he was okay with that. But yeah, he got a big sponsor in Korea, so we were able to actually run the camp in Korea, as well as a couple our big sponsor Dave, Fight Ready.
Focus is 100% on Brian Ortega, but I'm curious, what are your thoughts? Have you been impressed by what you've seen out of new champion, Alexander Volkanovski? Have you been impressed by what you've seen out of him in his last two fights?
오테이가가 다음 시합인데 그 볼카novski 시합에서
할로웨이랑 그냥 뭐 제 생각에는 할로웨이가 이겼다고 생각하지만 뭐 그런 경우가 되게 많잖아요. 뭐 저지들이 판정을 하는 거고, 뭐 어쨌든 지금 챔피언은 볼카novski니까 저는 할로웨이가 이겼다고 생각해요.
Yeah, like he said, he's focused on Ortega right now. But as for he thought that Holloway won that second fight, but it was somewhat close. He understands that he's a champion, so they probably gave it to him. But yeah, he thought Volkanovski won the last fight, or Holloway won the last fight. Sorry.
Thank you.
Next, we have Jay Anderson with Cageside Press.
Thanks very much. And Zombie, welcome back. First, I wanted to ask, you're coming into this ranked number 4 in the division. Brian is ranked number 2. Are you surprised by that, given he hasn't fought since 2018 and you have 2 finishes since then?
네가 지금 랭킹이 4인데 2년 동안 안 싸우고 너는 포지션에 있었는데 랭킹이
이게 바뀌어야 된다고 난 생각하고 있는데, 근데 어쨌든 내가 챔피언이 되려면 다 이겨야 되는 거니까 사실 랭킹은 크게 신경 쓰고.
Yeah, he believes the ranking system should be flipped. He should be number 2. Brian should be number 4. But either way, he looks at it that he's got to go ahead and beat the guys in front of him to become champion. And so that's what he's going to do.
Do you expect that the long layoff he's had is going to have any impact on his performance?
2년 동안 안 싸우고
아니요, 오히려 이기고 싶어하는 마음이 훨씬 더 강하게 가지고 끝까지 올라올 거라고 생각하기 때문에 오히려 더 무서우면 무서웠지, 더 세지면 세졌지 약해졌을 것 같지는 않습니다.
No, not at all. He doesn't think the 2-year layoff is going to make a difference in him. He actually believes that Brian's going to be hungrier to actually get in the cage and prove his worth. And that's how he felt after he came out of the army as well. When he fought Bermudez. So he doesn't think it's going to be much of a difference.
And I know you said this fight's not personal and that, any bad feelings aren't going to help you in the fight. But, Brian apologized for the Jay Park incident. And then more recently, he's kind of turned the blame back on Jay Park, saying that, he was mouthing off. It was just a slap. Does that bother you at all? Do you find that he was being disingenuous about the apology?
그냥 싸울 건데.
당연히 사람으로서는 인간으로서는 좋아하지 않는다고 당연히. 근데 이 감정을 가지고 캐주얼 제가 아무 도움이 안 되니까 나한테 내가 그런 것 때문에 시합을 망치고 싶지 않다고.
Yeah, like he said before, he doesn't like what he did as an individual, but he's literally, he can't take that into the cage. It's not going to help him whatsoever. So kind of already addressed that beginning of the camp. He's done a great job, but just staying focused of what he needs to get accomplished. It's not for Jay. It's not for anything else. It's complete business. And he's just going to go in there and do his job.
All right, last one for me. This is your first fight during the pandemic. South Korea has done a really good job of containing the virus. It's kind of being a role model for the world, really. What was your experience during that time like, and how have the restrictions put in place impacted your training?
한국이 저 코로나를 너무 잘 관리해가지고 그리고 임팩트 한국에서 다 하는 게 그래서
아니 뭐 전혀 문제 없었고 뭐 이렇게 해외를 나와 보면 한국이 얼마나 코로나를 잘 막고 있는지 좀 저도 한국이 대단하다고 생각하고 있고 놀라고 있습니다. 뭐 우리 캠프를 한 데는 문제 없었던 것 같아요.
Yeah, Korea's done a great job of dealing with the pandemic. He actually encourages people to come to Korea and like what they're doing to actually prevent it. I think they're under 100 cases a day at this point. As far as camp, it hasn't affected him at all. Everything ran smoothly and he's good to go.
All right, good stuff. Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zombie. That is all we have for you today.
Thank you.
Good luck this weekend.